My name is Toby, and I just turned 9. I live in Nashville with my mom in a little apartment that always smells a bit like her famous blueberry pancakes on the weekends, and a lot like laundry during the week, because she's always washing clothes for her second job. My mom works so hard, harder than anyone I know. During the day, she works at the big grocery store downtown, making sure all the shelves are full and neat, always smiling even when her feet must be tired. Then 3 evenings a week, she cleans offices after everyone else has gone home, pushing a big cart with mops and buckets through quiet hallways. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I lie in bed and imagine her there, humming a little tune as she works, making everything shine. My mom doesn't complain, not really, but I see the way she sometimes sighs softly when she thinks I'm not looking, especially when she's staring at a pile of envelopes on the kitchen counter, the ones with windows where you can see numbers. I know those are bills, and I know they make her worry. My biggest dream isn't about getting a new video game or going to a giant theme park. It's about making my mom's life easier, about seeing her relax for a whole day without a single worry line on her forehead. Sometimes I feel this heavy feeling in my chest, like a big, quiet worry that I can't quite shake off. It's the feeling that no matter how much I wish for it, I'm just a kid, and I can't really do anything important to help. That quiet helplessness, that's my internal nemesis. It whispers to me that I'm too small to make a difference. Our old blue car, a trusty friend named Bessie by my mom because she's always beside us, was really showing her age. Bessie had dents like little maps of all the places we'd been, and the engine often coughed and sputtered when we first started her up like she was clearing her throat. But Bessie was essential. My mom needed her for both her jobs, and Bessie took me to school every morning, especially on rainy days when the bus stop felt like a chilly island. One Tuesday morning, a morning that felt just like any other, Bessie coughed once, twice, and then just made a sad, clicking sound. Nothing. My mom tried again and again, turning the key with a hopeful look that slowly faded into a frown. I watched her face, the way her eyes got a little wider, and I knew right away this wasn't just a small problem. We ended up walking to school that day, my mom holding my hand tight, and her stride was fast, hurried. I could feel her worry through her hand. That night she told me Bessie was really sick and needed to go to the doctor, the car mechanic. She tried to make it sound like an adventure, but her voice was tight. I saw her calling the mechanic, then hanging up, her shoulders slumping just a little. The repair was going to cost a lot, much more than she expected, she told me quietly later. This was our major life challenge, bigger than any bill on the counter. It felt like the ground was shaking a little beneath us, and that helpless feeling in my chest grew bigger. I started saving every single penny. My birthday was coming up, and I usually wished for a cool new toy or a big book, but this year all I could think about was Bessie. I had a small ceramic piggy bank shaped like a rocket ship, and I fed it every coin I found, every bit of allowance I earned for helping with chores, every quarter from the couch cushions. I even offered to wash our neighbor Mrs. Henderson's car for $1, which was hard work but made my rocket bank feel heavier. When my birthday finally arrived, it was different. There wasn't a big party, but my mom made my favorite blueberry pancakes, and she sang to me, her voice warm and sweet. My grandma and grandpa sent a card with a crisp $20 bill, and Aunt Carol sent $10. My mom gave me a beautiful new book, but she also put another $5 in my hand, telling me to get something special for myself. Instead, all that money, $35 in total, went straight into my rocket bank. I felt a surge of hope, a tiny spark against that heavy feeling. Maybe, just maybe, this money could help. But the setbacks kept coming, like little stones being thrown at our glass house of hope. The mechanic called again, and the repair cost for Bessie had somehow gone up. It wasn't just one thing, but several things wrong, like a chain reaction. My mom had to take more time off work to figure out rides and logistics without Bessie. That meant less money coming in, not more. I watched her making calls, trying to arrange carpools with coworkers, and sometimes she just stared out the window for a long time, her coffee getting cold. I heard her tell Aunt Carol that she just didn't know how they were going to get Bessie fixed, that maybe they would have to try to sell her for parts and somehow save up for a much cheaper, older car that might have its own problems. My heart sank. My $35, which had felt like a mountain of money to me, now felt like a single pebble against a giant wall. One evening, my mom came home from her cleaning job and her eyes looked red. She didn't say anything, but I knew she had been crying. She just hugged me extra tight and whispered that everything would be okay, but her voice didn't sound like she believed it. That night, I cried into my pillow. I had tried so hard, but it wasn't enough. My rocket bank felt so small and useless. I wanted to smash it open and throw the money at the problem, but I knew it wouldn't make a difference. I felt completely defeated, like my small efforts were just a joke. This was my lowest point. I felt like giving up entirely on the idea of helping because how could a 9-year-old solve such a big problem? The next day was Saturday, and usually that meant some fun time, but this Saturday, my mom was working her morning shift at the local diner, a place called the Copper Spoon, to try and earn some extra money. She had to walk a long way to get there. I stayed with her at a small table in the corner, coloring in my drawing book, trying to be good and not bother anyone. I watched her serve coffee and plates of eggs, her smile a little tired around the edges. I could see the worry still in her eyes. I had brought my Rocket Bank money with me, tucked into my pocket. It felt heavy, but not in a good way. It felt heavy with the weight of its uselessness. As I was coloring a picture of a superhero saving a city, a man walked in and sat at the counter. He was an older man with kind eyes and a face that looked like it had seen a lot of sunny days and some cloudy ones too. He wore a cap that said veteran on it with a small American flag pin. My grandpa was a veteran, and he always told me stories about courage and helping others. The man ordered a simple breakfast. My mom, tired as she was, still gave him her warmest smile. I watched him eat slowly, quietly. He looked a bit lonely, just like I felt inside. Suddenly, an idea sparked in my head, a small, bright flame in the gloom. My $35 couldn't fix Bessie, that much was clear, but maybe it could do something else. Maybe it could make one person's day a little brighter just for a moment. It wouldn't solve our big problem, but it felt like something I could do. I walked up to my mom, who was wiping down the counter nearby. I tugged on her apron. "Mom," I whispered, holding out the crumpled bills in my hand. "Can I use this for him?" I pointed subtly to the veteran. My mom looked at me, then at the money, then at the veteran. She looked confused, but then her eyes softened. "What do you want to do, sweet pea?" she asked softly. "I want to pay for his breakfast," I said, my voice barely a whisper but firm. "Just because." My mom hesitated for a moment, then she just nodded, a small, loving smile on her face. She walked over to the cash register and quietly told the cashier to add the veteran's meal to our tab, which I was paying for. The cashier, a nice lady named Brenda, looked surprised, but then she just smiled and nodded too. When the veteran went to pay, Brenda told him, "Sir, your meal has been taken care of." The veteran looked puzzled. "By whom?" he asked. Brenda looked over at me and I felt my cheeks get warm. The veteran followed her gaze and saw me still standing near the counter, fiddling with my drawing book. He slowly walked over to me. "Son," he said, his voice a little gruff but kind. "Did you pay for my breakfast?" I nodded, looking down at my shoes. "My birthday money," I mumbled. "I just wanted to." He knelt down so he was at my eye level. He had a tear in his eye. "That was one of the kindest things anyone has ever done for me, Toby," he said, looking at my name tag on my shirt. "Thank you." He pulled out a small, worn leather wallet. "I want to give you something." I shook my head. "No, that's okay. It was a gift." He smiled. "Well, I want to give you a gift too, a piece of advice. Never forget the power of kindness. It always comes back to you." Just then, my mom walked over, a proud glow on her face. She explained about Bessie, about the car troubles, about how my birthday money was meant for that, but I chose to do this instead. The veteran listened, his expression thoughtful. "You know," he said, standing up and looking at my mom, "I used to be a mechanic after the service. My buddy still runs a garage just a few miles from here, a small place, good people. He always helps out veterans and good folks when he can. Let me give him a call. Maybe he can take a look at your Bessie for you. No charge for the labor, just parts. For this young man's kindness, it's the least I can do." My mom's jaw dropped. She looked at me, then at the veteran, then back at me, tears welling up in her eyes. It felt like a miracle. The very next week, Bessie was at the veteran's friend's garage. It turned out the main problem wasn't as bad as the first mechanic had said, and some of the other issues were just minor. With the labor free and the parts much cheaper than we expected, my mom was able to pay for everything with just a little bit of her savings. Bessie was back, purring like a kitten. My mom drove me to school with the windows down, the wind blowing through our hair, and she kept saying, "Thank you, Toby. You fixed everything, you really did." I felt a warmth spread through me, bigger and better than any video game. I learned that day that even when a problem feels too big for you and your own efforts seem too small, a single act of kindness can create a ripple effect, connecting you to others, and sometimes those connections are exactly what you needed all along. My mom and I started a new tradition. We got a big jar and we called it the kindness jar. Every time we see someone who looks like they might need a little help, or if we have an extra dollar or two, we put it in the jar. When it's full, we find a way to pay it forward, maybe buying a meal for someone else, or donating to a local animal shelter, or just leaving a nice note for someone. The veteran, whose name I learned was Mr. Miller, became a regular at the Copper Spoon, and sometimes he'd wave to me from the counter. He even started telling me stories about his time in the army, and I felt like I had a new grandpa. I used to think that being brave meant doing something really big and heroic, like my superhero drawings. But now I know that true courage is often found in the small, quiet choices we make every day, like choosing to be kind even when you feel small and helpless. It turns out my birthday money didn't just pay for a breakfast. It brought Bessie home, and it brought a whole lot of hope into our lives, proving that even a little 9-year-old in Nashville can make a mighty big difference.